Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Baseball State of Mind, and I'm your host, Rafael Ortiz. Now, today I'm going to talk about the New York Yankees and their season failure. I guess that's no surprise considering the fact that they got eliminated in 5 games in the American League Division Series to the eventual American League champions, the Tampa Bay Rays. What makes that so much more difficult is the fact that the Tampa Bay Rays are always kind of known as the little brother to the New York Yankees. But at the same time, you have to respect the fact that the Tampa Bay Rays are a feisty team. They are a great organization that is built well from top to bottom. They have a feisty lineup. They have batters who grind and seem to just get clutch hits in key situations, as well as a dominant pitching staff and an even more dominant bullpen. The Tampa Bay Rays are a great team, and as much as it pains me to say it, I have to tip my cap to the Tampa Bay Rays, and good luck to them in the World Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, enough with the Tampa Bay Rays and talking about them. Let's talk about the New York Yankees. Let's get a little sad and a little frustrated here. The New York Yankees season was a failure. Why is that? Because they didn't perform to their expectations once again. I understand 2020 has been a weird year for everybody. It's been a failure of a year for a lot of us. A lot of us have gone through a lot of things. As far as sports and professional athletes and the New York Yankees are concerned, it didn't matter if it was a 60-game season or a 162-game season. What hurt them was inconsistencies on the field and the ability to not be on the field. Injuries once again ravaged the team for a better part of the season, and when the players did come back, your Aaron Judges, your Giancarlo Stantons, even your Gleyber Torres, who had only missed 18 games, James Paxton, for example, when they came back, they were not able to get that hot streak going, build the timing and the momentum, with the exception of Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton really picked it up in the playoffs. I mean, he was a dominant bat. And so I don't really want to crap on him too much, but at the same time, you missed a lot of time in the regular season, a lot of time that could have propelled us to be the number 1 seed in the American League, which many, sports professionals believe that the Yankees would be. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating when you have a team that is filled with this much talent. You have high-paid players. You have, players who, when you look at the back of their baseball card, you would be impressed by. You have a lot of young guys who had breakout seasons in 2019, and unfortunately, it just never really clicked for a lot of them, with your exception of DJ LeMahieu and Luke Voit, who are my 2 team MVPs. Honorable mention would be Gio Urshela, who had another outstanding season since coming to the Yankees. But for example, Luke Voit, he batted .277. He had 22 home runs, which led the majors, as well as 52 RBIs, which was second behind only Jose Abreu. He was just a consistent performer on and off the field. He had an OPS plus of 156 and a 1.5 WAR. Luke Voit played in and out despite dealing with foot issues. It's going to be difficult to think about even trading him. I know a lot of articles are coming out. A lot of these sports writers are saying that Luke Voit should probably be moved in the off season to get a left-handed bat and maybe move DJ LeMahieu over to first base. But it's going to be hard to kind of justify that when you have the league leader in homers. DJ LeMahieu, once again, for the second year in a row, proved he is the best player on the Yankees. He was a consistent at bat. He drives the ball to all fields. He plays a solid second base. He can actually move around the whole entire infield. He plays every game. He batted .364 with 10 homers, 27 RBIs, 41 runs scored, a 177 OPS plus, and a 2.9 WAR. He is the team MVP. He could be the league MVP. DJ LeMahieu is just a godsend. I mean, imagine what this team would be without him the past year, even 2020 and 2019. Where would we even be without his production at the top of the lineup? Garrett Cole had a phenomenal first year with the Yankees, albeit it was short, but he really proved, especially during the stretch run in the playoffs, that he is the ace that, we got. 12 games, 7-3 record, 2.84 ERA with 94 strikeouts, .959 whip, and a 2.2 WAR. He had trouble with the long ball. I believe he gave up 15 home runs in the regular season. But a lot of those were solo shots, and I believe that John Boy Media actually came out and said that um, 10 of those 15 home runs, if I'm not mistaken, were to guys who hadn't even hit more than 5 home runs, or maybe it was more than 10 home runs in the season. So it was a lot of fluke stuff. G-Man Choi was his daddy. He absolutely tore the cover off anything that Garrett Cole threw, and you saw that in the postseason as well in Game 1. And it's difficult, but at the same time, Garrett Cole really, picked it up, especially when Kyle Higashioka became catcher, the personal catcher for Garrett Cole. But yeah, so I mean, those are right there. 3 MVPs. Urshela is an honorable mention. He batted .298, 6 home runs, 30 RBIs, 1.9 WAR with a 138 OPS plus. He's proven that his time in New York has changed him. He is a consistent batter. He's a very consistent defender, something we didn't have with Miguel Andujar, despite how high the ceiling was for Miguel Andujar. But Gio Urshela really showed that he can hang and he can outperform. Now, as for my team failures, I have Gary Sanchez, Adam Ottavino, and I do have Gleyber Torres. Sanchez, a lot has been said on Sanchez. He just had a miserable season. A 147 batting average, 10 homers, 24 RBIs, and he cost the team half a run in respect to WAR. Adam Ottavino, 5.89 ERA with a negative .1 WAR. And Gleyber Torres, who played in 42 games, had some lower body issues, but only batted .243 with 3 homers and 16 ribbies, but actually cost the team 0.2 of a run in WAR. And that has to do a lot with his defense and the fact that he is just not defensively sound over in shortstop, despite the fact that that's the position he played in the minor leagues, especially in the Cubs farm system. Gary Sanchez had a horrible defensive year. He had a horrible offensive year, and it just really has culminated into just, is this who Gary Sanchez is? Is he this bad player who has a chance to hit the ball 450 feet? Or is there more that we're just not able to unlock, kind of with Sonny Gray? Now, I have 3 players that need to step up. I have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and I have Aaron Hicks. Aaron Judge, for as talented as he is, for being labeled the face of the Yankees, and some even say the face of baseball, he just can't stay on the field. And I don't know what it is. I'm not a sports medicine professional, but he has injuries with his lower body. Could it be to his size? I know that his injury stemmed when he played that series in Tampa. He didn't wear turf shoes. He wore his regular cleats, which really, really destroyed his calf. And then they tried to rush him back, or he tried to rush himself back, and he wound up having to extend his time in recovery. Giancarlo Stanton with lower body issues, which, there is a little bit of a silver lining. We'll see next year if it actually works out. But the fact is that Giancarlo Stanton would get cold because he's the full-time designated hitter. He would sit on the bench for almost an hour and a half sometimes between at bats without doing any sort of warm-up on the bike or any jog or sprints down the field, anything to keep his body warm, loose, and flexible to avoid those injuries. And that's something I always said when he would get hurt is, how is it that you spend all this money in respect to the Yankees and these teams, you spend all this money on sports medicine and all this innovation, and then you watch an NBA game and guys go on the bench for a few minutes and then they're on an assault bike trying to get those legs warm so that way when they get back and they're playing, that there's no issues. It's just something that's crazy to me. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I don't know a lot about anatomy and physiology, but at the same time I always was taught that you need to keep your body warm because if you get cold your body will shut down. Aaron Hicks, he had a weird season. Although he was really valuable with his plate discipline and his walks, but a .225 batting average, only 6 homers, only 21 ribbies. He played kind of subpar defense in center field. He really had trouble catching balls that were anywhere close to the wall. He would give up on it, which would give up a lot of hits and a lot of runs. He was worth .6 WAR, so although he was technically a positive on that aspect, but I felt like there's just more that he can do. My problem with Aaron Hicks is, and it's not necessarily his fault, the Yankees plug him into the 3-hole. They want to break up the right-handers with a switch hitting, but Aaron Hicks isn't a 3-hole hitter, and I think he's kind of proven that. He's either a leadoff hitter or he's a bottom-of-the-order hitter. He gets on base, he has great at bats. He can hit the long ball, but at the same time, he doesn't really drive in runs. He doesn't swing a lot, and he's not a guy that should really be in the middle of the order. That should be, tasked with driving in runs. And I think that position that he gets put in is because the Yankees lack of a balanced lineup. The Yankees are right-handed heavy. They get guys that can drive the ball to right field because that plays very well in Yankee Stadium. And when you have Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, they can hit the ball anywhere and they can hit it far. But the Yankees need versatility. And this is going to lead into my offseason to-do list. Now, I want to make a quick note. The New York Yankees lost an estimated $438 million in revenue due to lack of fan attendance. So there's a lot of speculation that Hal Steinbrenner is going to tell Brian Cashman to get below the 210 luxury tax threshold, especially when you've lost all that money. As an organization, you're probably not going to look to spend more or go really above the threshold, despite the amount of money coming off the books in Masahiro Tanaka, James Paxton, Jay Happ. I believe Ellsbury comes off the books. So even though you're freeing up about 60 million, I believe 60 to 100 million, at the same time you lost a lot of money because fans weren't in attendance. So you have to weigh out the costs. So I believe that the offseason to-do list is as follows. You need to re-sign DJ LeMahieu. DJ LeMahieu, if he's looking at market, at the market and what he's worth, is going to cost you about $20 million a year. He's probably going to get 4 or 5 years considering his age. He's 32 years old now, but he's a consistent at bat, and the Yankees need him. The Yankees need him, and the Yankees need to make an offer that would make him comfortable coming back and not feel like he's giving up too much in the free agent market. DJ LeMahieu has to be the Yankees' number one priority because I don't know that the Yankees will look much better than they did this year, next year without him. They need to shore up the rotation. So the rotation is as follows. Garrett Cole is your ace. Luis Severino will come back in June or July from Tommy John surgery, but you don't know how he's going to look. It normally takes a pitcher about 2 years or a year after the surgery to really get back to what he was with command of the strike zone. You're going to have Domingo Germán so long as his issues off the field are cleared up. You're going to have Davy Garcia, which I'm very excited to see a full season from him. And you have Jordan Montgomery, as well as depth in Michael King and Clark Schmidt. So you do have a rotation, but you could have a better rotation. Do they bring Masahiro Tanaka back on a really short-term deal with less money, as so long as he wants to remain a Yankee? Do they take a chance on James Paxton, who has had back issues and then arm issues? Does he say, let me take a 1-year deal with an incentivized contract to come back, prove that he is the pitcher who he was, and then go into the free agent market next year after a full season and capitalize on that? J.A. Happ's not coming back. I believe that the Game 2 fiasco that the Yankees front office did with Davey and Happ not really being on board, and just kind of the way that they spaced out his starts and kind of tried to bring him out of the bullpen, I believe that he's not coming back as a Yankee, and I don't believe that the Yankees want him back. But I believe the rotation has to be something that, if Brian Cashman's willing to spend more money outside of LeMahieu, that has to be the next priority. After that, has to be bullpen depth. The Yankees right now have 3 for sure relievers. They have Aroldis Chapman, they have Zach Britton, and they have Chad Green. Tommy Kahnle is in the same predicament as Luis Severino, Tommy John surgery, although he will be back much later, if not at all next year, maybe even in 2022. But I believe he's a free agent in next year, so who knows if he'll even be tendered a contract. So you have to look at bullpen pieces. Do you have guys in your farm system that you believe can come in and get outs? Or do you need to make some trades? That's up to Brian Cashman. That's up to the pro scouting department and the analytical department. But you need to get guys who can get outs and who have filthy stuff. I mean, look at the Rays. The Rays grabbed pieces from their farm system from trades, and they really did have a stable of guys that can throw 98, and they proved it against the Yankees. High heat, filthy breaking stuff down and away, and The Yankees are home just like I am. After that, I believe the Yankees need to look at a left-handed bat. Now, mind you, this is all with the idea that Hal Steinbrenner says, okay, yeah, go ahead, we have money coming off the books. Let's put it back. Let's invest it back into the team. Don't worry about what we lost. We'll make it up next year. But they need to find a left-handed bat. For example, you have Tommy La Stella, who is a free agent. You have Didi Gregorius. Do you look at a reunion with him? Jonathan VR, who did not have a good year this year with the Marlins and the Blue Jays, but at the same time, maybe he comes back on a minor league contract or a 1 year deal and looks to show that he can still perform. I believe that the Yankees need to find a little bit more versatility in that lineup when it comes to both sides of the plate. They can't be so right-handed heavy because, as they were shown, they can be dominated by right-handed pitchers. I think having a couple more left-handed bats, not Brett Gardner, even though I love Brett Gardner and I would love to see him come back next year, but at the same time, at what cost? Even though he was the hottest hitter in September and he did have a very, very productive postseason, but can you count on him going into his age 38 or 39 season having another good year, especially when Clint Frazier has already proven that he's going to be the starting left fielder? And you have Mike Ford and Mike Tauchman who had statistical regressions. You can't count on them being those left-handed bats that you can plug in every day. You need to find guys who can lengthen that lineup, can help space out the right-handed bats, and give pitchers different looks. You have a lot of the same guys in that lineup. Guys who can hit for power, who can drive the ball to right field, but can also swing and miss too. You need a couple more DJ LeMahieu type bats, and I'm not saying you're going to find DJ LeMahieu in Tommy La Stella or Didi Gregorius, but you need guys that have no problem peppering the ball to all parts of the field, getting on base, and passing the baton. So that's my offseason to-do list for the Yankees. It was a failure of a season. It was frustrating. There were many times that I can say that I just wanted to tune off the game. I almost didn't even want to see them in the postseason just when they were going through their worst. But just like Dan O'Rourke says from Yankees Avenue, when the Yankees win, they look like they can never lose. When the Yankees lose, they look like they can never win again. I don't want that. I want to see a team that is consistent day in and day out. 103 wins and 100-win seasons are great, but when you get to the most important time of the season, which is October ball, which is that, the fall classic, you need guys who are going to have consistent at-bats. You need guys who are going to get on base and play a little small ball, when they need to, have a solid two-strike approach. And you also need the guys that can hit the long ball. You need that threat. You need that balance, right? There's nothing wrong with homers. The Rays made it to the World Series, striking out the most times, but hitting the most homers in the postseason. They also have guys that can do other things too. And I think that's what it is. It's making solid contact and it's having good at-bats. It's not selling out for the fastballer, swinging at the breaking pitch that was never even close to the strike zone. So that's my Yankee season recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're a Yankee fan, I'm sure you're feeling the pain like I am. If you're not a Yankee fan, I'm sure you guys are loving the fact that I am in some pain. After the World Series, expect to see a lot of off-season coverage. I'll be covering all teams, all free agent, all trades, even coaching staffs. I'll be discussing it. And just stay tuned. Like this video if you do like it. Please give me a comment what you guys want to see me talk about next if you guys are interested, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. This is all I've ever wanted to do, is talk about the greatest game on earth and the game that I love. So I would really appreciate your guys' support, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.